Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us for this live after the close trade brief here at Top Gun Options. Welcome aboard. We have a lot to cover. If you're a little bit dizzy from what just happened with the Fed, that's to be expected. We're actually going to cover a little bit of what happened with the Fed, but today we're going to talk about trading the Death Star. Now, obviously, the Death Star, that fully operational battle unit from Star Wars, what happened to it? Every once in a while, got blown up by a bunch of teenagers and more or less a futuristic Winnebago, right? Han Solo and, Luke Skywalker and stuff like that. But guess what they did with it? They rebuilt it. The stock we're going to talk about today, I call the Death Star because it is taking over everything, as evidenced by FedEx earnings yesterday. FedEx down 15, the biggest drop in FedEx stock in the history of the company. I was a pilot at FedEx for a little bit, hated it, but guess what, folks? The Death Star is destroying everything it touches. This is why you want to be in it. Okay. All right. So folks, welcome aboard. Can't give you investment advice, right? You need to talk to a registered investment advisor, broker dealer, or somebody with all those fancy designations. You're getting the eavesdrop on what a professional trader would be doing. And always remember that trading options involves risk. Now, before we get airborne today, I have a question right out of the gate. I'm going to hit you all with a question. This is the audience participation part of our live brief this afternoon. Which fighter aircraft would you rather fly? You ready? It's an A or B, and I'm going to ask you. Here we go. Would you rather fly this one? Folks, this is an F4 Phantom cockpit. Take a look at that. 300 switches and dials, right? Look at that. Very, very pilot intensive. Just staring at that cockpit gives me agita, folks. 300 switches and dials. The pilot would spend a lot of time, what we call heads down in the cockpit, looking down at various dials. We call them steam gauges, instead of looking out the cockpit at the threat and what could potentially kill him or her. How about this one? 2 flat panel displays. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the F-35 Lightning II aircraft. I was recently up at Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort in South Carolina, flying with actually a TGO member, talking to one of our TGO members who's flying the F-35 up there. 2 flat panel displays. You ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? This aircraft is so advanced that it actually limits the amount of data that it shows the pilot at different stages of the flight. It'll say to itself, you know what, the pilot really doesn't need to know, what's going on with this, that, or that right now, so I'm going to kind of keep it away from them. So obviously the choice is clear, ladies and gentlemen. F4 Phantom was a great airplane. It looked good. It was a monster machine and did some great work. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the future, right? This is the future, and this is where you need to be, flying the F-35 Lightning aircraft. So here we go. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. And last time I checked, my parents did love me. They didn't name me Wiz. That was the call sign I earned flying the FA-18 Hornet for the United States Navy for about 15 years. I graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, which many of you know as Top Gun, and got to do some pretty cool things when I was in the Navy. I flew 44 combat sorties over Iraq, and I was also the mobile targeting officer for the Joint Task Force Southwest Asia, headquartered in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Everything going on right now in the Gulf, I'm intimately familiar with. My buddy that I flew F-18s with is the captain. He is the commanding officer of the USS Abraham Lincoln. It's me calling him captain. I'm like stuttering. I drank with the guy. Captain Putnam Brown is the commanding officer of Abraham Lincoln. So in some of our other services, folks, I am talking about what's going on in the Gulf, what's going on in Saudi Arabia, what's going to happen with Iran, and how that is going to impact the markets. So I have a lot of experience with what's going on, and maybe we can talk about that maybe in a week or so when we talk about some of our other services here. Folks, if you're sitting there going, okay, I thought I came to like a trading presentation or a live trade brief, that means you're not familiar with Top Gun Options. How did Top Gun Options come about? I was a young naval aviator flying for this country, and guess what I did? As soon as I got commissioned as an officer in the Navy, I taught myself about investing. I taught myself about stocks. You don't join the the military to get rich, folks. You join the military to serve your country, to serve your fellow Americans here, and to do good, right? So as I was doing that, and I was teaching myself about investing, I was like, well, wait a minute here. Trading is a form of combat. When you think about it, there's a winner and there's a loser. And guess what? In my world, the loser didn't get to go home that night. Their wife got a flag to put over the man, on the kids lost a father. So I started to apply everything I learned flying a fighter aircraft, being disciplined, managing risk, contingency planning, knowing when to get out of a good or bad situation before it got worse. And I applied that to my trading with absolutely incredible results. Eventually, I popped up on the radar of one of the largest options trading firms in the world, headquartered right there in the beautiful Chicago Board of Trade. That's the intersection of Jackson and LaSalle. Love Chicago. Anybody in the room from Chicago? Yep. Okay, Steve, Mary. Yep. I lived out in Naperville, Napertucky. We called it Napertucky. Lived out in Naperville, and absolutely loved the people of Chicago and everything like that. But more on that in a second. While I was there, folks, I helped build a hedge fund. I helped build the retail brokerage called Options House that many of you have heard of. And I was the managing director of strategy of a $2.5 billion volatility arbitrage firm. You know what I also did there? I was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, ONN.TV. From about 2007 to 2009, we were essentially the CNBC for options. I know John and Pete Najarian on CNBC, they kind of do the best they can with options. That ain't an options channel. We had it, folks. It was absolutely a blast. I hosted 3 or 4 of the programs. We gave retail traders such as yourself a behind-the-scenes look into what was going on in the options market, who was buying, who was selling, why, what to get in, what to get out. I had an absolute blast. If this sounds a little familiar, you probably saw the movie Trading Places. I felt like Valentine in Trading Places, right? Everybody's, if you've ever traded or invested, you've seen the movie Trading Places. That was me. I was Valentine. Could this little guy off the street go to Wall Street and compete with the smart money? Not only did I compete, I blew them out of the water, folks. I had an absolute blast doing it. But at the end of the day, I was taught in the military, and I was raised that you put the ladder down, right? I hated Wall Street, folks. When you made it on Wall Street, you got another house in the Hamptons, and you'd step over your own mother to make $1. That ain't me. When you made it to a higher rank in the military, or you got to go to Top Gun like I did, you went back to your squadron and you put the ladder down, man. You spread the knowledge and you help people out, and that's what I'm here today to do, right? But no offense to all the folks in Chicago there. That was actually, what was that, 2009, 2010? We took that picture. I think that's just before we left Chicago. I'm a beach guy, folks. No offense to my brothers and sisters up there in Chicago. I was born on the Jersey Shore, lived out and went to school in Florida. I need an ocean and water and warmth. So we moved our squadron down here to South Florida, and we're going on 10 years in business here at Top Gun Options. And just to give you a quick update, this young man is 19 years old. He's a corporal. He's a cadet at Norwich University, the Military College of Vermont. He wants to fly for the United States Marine Corps. This young man, John Peter Buckley, is a freshman in high school. He wants to go to the United States Naval Academy and fly for the Navy. This is my daughter, Keely Grace, who is 11, going on 32, and she's not allowed to leave the house until I stop breathing. So that's a quick update on my squadron. All right, now let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be shocking to you. I know this is going to be shocking, but guess what? Wall Street, this is absolutely going to be shocking, or it's not. I'm going to give you the biggest revelation that you've had in a while. Wall Street has been lying to you. Now, I knew this before I got up to Wall Street and found out that the smart money isn't necessarily as smart as you or I, but they're absolutely lying to you. How? You have to diversify, the importance of diversification. Why diversification is important? You have to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Does anybody know why they told you to do all of that stuff? Why did they tell you to do all that stuff? Because I remember one of my first trades through USAA. I was a young ensign stationed at Naval Air Station Key West. I remember buying my first 2 stocks. My wife I think kept Ann Taylor in business, and I paid the American Express bill. I bought those two stocks, and guess what? Exactly. A bunch of people are saying it. Commissions. Guess what, folks? Those people don't have massive houses in the Hamptons because they're charities, because they don't charge you fees, right? Back in the day, people wanted you to invest in 50 different things because you had to trade 50 different things, right? So this whole you have to diversify is an absolute lie. Was it Nouriel Roubini said a year or two ago, he said diversification is for people who don't know what they're doing, right? So that's an absolute lie because it depends on the basket. And today we're going to talk about potentially the only stock you potentially need to own for the rest of your existence on this planet. And we're going to talk about it right now. It is Amazon, folks. It's got a hell of a basket, and all the eggs in that basket are insane. Now, as a fighter pilot, as an options trader, before we talk about how great we are or how much money we're going to make and all this stuff, we got to look at the threats. What are the risks of trading in a single stock? Because I know this is freaking some of you out. Like, I've always been taught to diversify. This ain't. Be present, man. This is today. What are some of the risks of trading a single stock? There's one right there. Everybody is old enough on this live trade brief to know that Bear Stearns went to zero. Everybody, Jim Cramer. What a hard-hitting interview Jim Cramer had the other night with Nancy Pelosi. What a hack. Anyway, everybody remember Jim Cramer? Pound it like Khrushchev, bald guy with it pounding his shoe on the table. Bear Stearns is a steal at $70. You're stupid if you don't buy Bear Stearns here. 2 days later, it was at zero. Lehman Brothers, zero. 150-year-old company, out of business. How about the year 2000 or 1999, the pets.com implosion, right? If you put a .com at the end of it, they're going to issue you share certificates, like their toilet paper. Enron, right? Anybody remember that little company? Man, people went to jail. Exactly. Somebody just wrote Lucent. I loved a Lucent at 100. I loved it even more at 70. I really super loved it at 60, hated it at 40, and then couldn't believe it went to zero. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the common string between a lot of the examples I just gave you? That's exactly right, Mary. They didn't own, you've been here for a while. You know the answer to this. They don't own anything. Enron was a middleman woman of electricity. Pets.com owned Pets.com. Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns didn't own a thing. Folks, I just showed you a picture of them taking the sign away. I don't even think they own that, right? Financial companies have counterparty risk. Here's how this went. Man, I have a big trade on with Bear Stearns. Dude, what are you, stupid? I closed my trades with Bear Stearns. I don't think they got enough liquidity to cover everything. What? You didn't? Hey, Bear Stearns, it's whiz. Dump everything, and these things spiral downhill and implode, right? So there are absolute risks. The graveyard of stocks can go to zero is littered with a lot of examples. But guess what, folks? Most of them didn't own anything, right? Didn't own anything. Now, what is the biggest risk to trading in a single name, especially if it's Amazon? You ready? How about this? That dude. So about a year and a half ago, well, let me start here. About 4.5 to 5 years ago, Edward Matthew Buckley, yours truly, call sign Wiz, said, folks, I just got a text from a buddy of mine at FedEx. His buddy leases aircraft. I think it was GE, whatever aircraft leasing company it was in. Amazon had leased 5 aircraft, and I broke the news to my TGO members a year or two before anybody knew what even Amazon Air was. I'm like, you're going to do it, aren't you, Jeff? He's using the post office. He's using FedEx. He's using UPS all the while. He's quietly in the background building stuff. Why do I have the president on the screen? Because what happened? A year and a half ago, Donald Trump grabbed his cell phone and went Trump and ripped Amazon to shreds. They're using the U.S. Post Office. We're getting screwed. Rah, harumph, harumph. And what happened? Jeff Bezos didn't say a word. He just folded his arms and kept doing what he was doing, using the post office, FedEx, and UPS while building Amazon Air in the background. So is he a potential threat? Sure. What happened recently? Well, folks, if you've been paying attention, what happened recently was a month or two ago. Was it 2 months ago? What happened? Alphabet soup happened. Remember the day? It was almost like Bloody Tuesday, whatever it was. Breaking news, the Department of Justice is announcing investigations into Facebook, Google, Twitter, blah, 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 blah. Oh, man. Guess what? Guess who, if you're looking at the alphabet soup of government, guess who said they're going to look into Amazon's practices? The FTC. Everybody know the difference between those two? DOJ, criminal, bad. FTC, civil. And I'm old enough to remember, you ready for this? Standard Oil, Microsoft, IBM, the Baby Bells or Ma Bell or 18. Remember all that? When the FTC gets involved in stuff, it takes 5, 10, 15 years for them to poke around and really come up with an hour in court and blah, and it's ugly. Folks, and I don't want to get too deep into politics, but guess what? Facebook, Google, Twitter, they have put themselves on the firing line. I call some of them limousine liberals. You know what Jeff Bezos has done? Nothing. Ain't no press conferences, ain't no this. He is in the background, quiet as a field mouse, plowing along. As a matter of fact, he went in the other direction, right? He went in the other direction because General Joseph Dunford, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, about 9 months ago, testified under oath. And you really don't have to put a Marine general under oath because he's going to tell you the truth. His exact words were, Google is working for the PLA, the People's Liberation Army. They are absolutely in bed with the Chinese army, and they are doing bad to America. This is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is around the time Google got rid of their saying, right? Their corporate motto. It was written on a wall, do no evil. When reached for comment, Google had no comment as to why they ditched that. They also around that time said, we're not going to work with various different Pentagon contracts anymore because the Pentagon is not aligned with our corporate values. Are you kidding me? Around that time, what did Jeff Bezos do? Jeff Bezos was sitting on stage with a 4-star retired Air Force general at an Air Force conference, and he said, hey, man, we're an American company. Amazon right now is competing for what? The Jedi contract. Pretty funny. We call it trading the Death Star and the Jedi contract. What? The Department of Defense cloud. Okay? So, didn't want to scare you, but hey, man, there are risks to trading in a single name. But let's talk through some of the benefits. What are some of the benefits of trading in a single stock? You ready for this? You trade in the same name, and you potentially profit no matter which way it goes, up, down, or sideways. I'm going to teach you options tactics, not strategies. No such thing as an option strategy. There are only options tactics. So whichever way Amazon moves, you can profit. You stay focused, ladies and gentlemen, on the news that impacts what? 50 stocks? No, Amazon, instead of your whole portfolio of stocks or ETFs. You become an expert in that name, reducing time spent in all these other positions, right? You essentially can become a market maker. I've had market maker buddies for years. I have a buddy of mine who's a market maker in Apple. He doesn't even know a stock market exists, folks, and I'm not kidding when I say that. All he does is follow Apple everything, eats, breathes, and sleeps it. He's an expert in that name, ladies and gentlemen. That is some of the, and let me, not to throw my buddy under the bus here, but one of my private coaching clients, a doctor down here in Boca Raton, this when I did my first coaching session with him, this was his portfolio. You ready for this? He's a back doctor. He's one of the best back doctors probably in the U.S. 33 positions. The man had 33 positions in his portfolio. I about fell out of the chair. I'm like, dude, don't. He's like, I work 8 hours a day. I'm in surgery. I'm like, oh, for the love of God and all things holy, ladies and gentlemen. As a pro, 10 to 15 names is way too much. I got retail folks who I start coaching with. I'm like, are you insane? Is this what you want to fly or that? Please don't tell me you're an expert in 300 switches and dials. It's no way physically possible. Then you can do that, folks. So If you're sitting here completely like, all right, you know what, I get this. I wish I could simplify my life. I do have 20 positions, Wiz, and now it sounds like I shouldn't. Folks, when we get into Amazon, literally taking a look at a trade in a couple minutes, think about it. The dude, Morgan Stanley came out with a note 2 months ago. Jeff Bezos, oh man, it just flew out of my head. Whatever the name of the project is, it's not Blue, whatever. Bluebird loves Anacott Steel. It's not his space program. It's a separate program, folks. He wants to launch 3,243 satellites in the low orbit to do what? Provide high-speed internet to everybody from the middle of Niger to the middle of Montana, folks. Morgan Stanley says that's a $250 billion business. They have AWS, Amazon Web Services. They're in healthcare. They're in food. You name the industry, they're getting into it, and then they eat everybody in it. You might not like that. We're going to talk about how I wear two different suits at Top Gun Options. I wear a flight suit. I'm an American. I'm going to tell you how I feel about that. I think it's awful. I think them paying their employees crap, not letting them go take a bathroom break or doing everything like that's awful. Then I'm going to turn into Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street, and I'm going to go, that's fantastic, and I absolutely love that. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about that, folks. Sometimes it is a hold your nose trade. But if you're sitting there going, you know what, Wiz, I love this. This is great. Maybe I do need to simplify and just focus on one name, but this diversification thing, it's still ringing true to me. It's going to be hard to change. I'm going to trade this with you as well. XLY. Why? Because it's an ETF. What's that? The Mickey Mouse Club? MOC. XLY. X-Ray Lima Yankee. Take a look at what is in the XLY, folks. It's an ETF. Look at the top holding in the XLY. Amazon. 25% of the XLY is Amazon, folks. And if you're still doing the whole diversification withdrawal, does not compute, have to diversify. Home Depot, McDonald's, you can keep Nike. You can keep Starbucks too. Lowe's, Booking, TJX, General Motors, Target. There are some great frigging companies in the XLY, folks, along with Amazon. There's your diversification. So in our newest live trading service that you're going to get access to today, we're not only going to trade solo Amazon, we're going to do Amazon parentheses XLY, right? Now, what type of tactics are we going to employ? Like I said, there's Amazon with the XLY as its wingman there, right? The other reason that we're going to trade XLY, as you'll see in a couple minutes, is it's cheaper. What to close at? The 114, whatever, 120 bucks. What's Amazon? 1,800. So some of the tactics, some of you might not be able to employ in Amazon. Guess what? Copy, paste, and we're going to do that tactic in XLY. So technically, we have two flat panels in our trading cockpit now, Amazon and XLY. I'm going to show you how to establish what I call a base position. We're going to hop in our Joint Strike Fighter in our live trade brief, and we're going to fly the speed of light as far out in time as we can on our options chain and get bullish. I'm going to teach you a tactic called synthetic stock or a long call diagonal. We can be bipolar in this service, folks, meaning this. Wiz, I think you're right. 2 years from now, Amazon's a $3,000 stock easily. Okay, great. What about right now? Jerome Powell gave us a little bit of a porridge brief today. It wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold, and net, I think we're probably going to head back down to the 50-day moving average. Amazon's under a little bit of pressure. So I'm going to do a bearish spread in the front month. Folks, isn't that awesome? You can have this long-term bullish position, but be raking money in the front months with tactics, right? If it's going up, let's do some bullish spreads and maybe buy some long calls. It's going down, okay, bearish spreads or buy some puts or sell what we call front month calls against our long position. Hey man, this thing's just moving sideways. I got a tactic for that. It's called an iron condor. If Amazon or XLY decides to start channeling sideways. So, solo Amazon, focusing on one name. Clean up your cockpit, folks. It breaks my heart to see people with all this stuff, and I can't even monitor that stuff as many as some of you all have. It makes no sense. We take a look at Amazon, folks. I got to be honest with you, if the FTC actually broke up Amazon, which I don't see happening, but even if it did, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? The sum is going to be worth a heck of a lot more than the parts. In 2 years, by 2021, Amazon Air is going to have 70 wide body aircraft. Like I told you, man, I got buddies at FedEx that are like, oh, super. Let's take a look. Let's get airborne and start looking at our trading platform and some issues going on. Like I said, today was the biggest one-day drop in FedEx. What did close at, man? I was focusing on Jerome Powell and stuff like that. Down 12. Oh, off its lows. It was down 15%, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Fred Smith, being Fred Smith, said, yeah, well, a lot of that uncertainty and global trade war and harump. Folks, I like I said, I worked in that company. That gap move is on Amazon. We saw 2 months ago, FedEx announced what? That they were ending their partnership with Amazon. Anybody look at the announcement? It was so funny. It was like this polite breakup. Amazon's like, we thank FedEx for all their years of support. Like a one sentence tweet, meaning we're coming to get you. FedEx is building a hub in between Memphis and Louisville. What's in Louisville? The UPS hub. What's in Memphis? The FedEx hub. What's right in between them? The Amazon hub. We have a lot. Did you see what happened after the last earnings period? So Warren Buffett, don't care for the man. I think he's a great investor, but he's also one of those limousine liberals, right? Amazon stock after the last earnings jumped through the roof. Why? Because Warren Buffett, being an honest man, said what? His exact quote was this: I'm an idiot for not investing in Amazon sooner. Well, Warren, we've been in Amazon for going on 10 years now here at Top Gun Options in one way or another, and now we finally have a service dedicated to just this. We ain't an idiot. I'm glad you admitted that you're an idiot. Amazon stock jumps after he says, man, I was an absolute idiot for not getting into Amazon sooner. And guess what, folks? Let's bring up Amazon. 1,815, what did it close at? 1,820? 1,817. Guess what, folks? Warren got in right around here-ish, and it's down here. So you're going to be even smarter than Warren because you're going to get in at a discount. And I'm going to show you how to get into that long bullish position and set up what we call that base trade. And real quick, folks, there's 623 people registered for this. In our normal live trade briefs, I stop and I answer everybody's questions as we go. Just for the flow of this, I ain't being rude. I want to get through and power through this stuff because I respect and honor people's times. Towards the end, I'm going to jump in that chat box and go up and clean up any questions, okay? So let's talk strategically. They are beating the hell out of the U.S. Postal Service, UPS, and FedEx. Warren Buffett said, man, I was an idiot for not getting in this thing. And here's one of these flight suit versus Gordon Gekko moments, right? And I'm going to tell you, what was it? 7 months ago, Amazon broke the news that it was going to lay off thousands and thousands of workers, right? Because they had this, I forget what the machine's called, folks. I'm going to make this up. The Robo 2000, like the Robo 2000 could package 600 to 700 items in an hour. Their best human, listen to me, their best human could do 200 in an hour. So what does Jeff Bezos do? Sorry, humans, you got to go. As a flight suit wearing American, that breaks my heart, man. Those are families. Those people need to eat and everything like that. As Gordon Gekko, I think that's freaking fantastic for the stock and the price, right? But here's what's even better, what Jeff Bezos did. He said, whoa, hey, hold on. I'm going to give you severance pay and $10,000. Whoa, what? How awesome of you. Yeah, well, here's what you do. You take this Amazon Prime decal and you stick it on your car and you go deliver packages for us. That's me giving him a golf clap. That is fantastic. Isn't that awesome? But guess what's going to happen and it's already happening, folks. I've reported this 2 months ago. You know what's happening right now? At least in the state of California, you order your Amazon, guess what happens? You get a text that says your package is here. You go outside with your PIN that you got, and there's a big Amazon blue driverless vehicle. You enter your PIN into it and opens the door on the side, and there's your new pair of socks. Whew. So now he's not going to be having to pay drivers anymore either. And oh, by the way, drones. I'm going to tell you, however, this is a potential danger to Amazon. Not danger, I mean, they're going to work around it. But folks, the attack in Saudi Arabia from Iran, 3 hours ago, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo gave a news conference in Riyadh after seeing all the evidence and said the attack by Iran on Saudi Arabia is an act of war. I don't want to get into too much of that, but to say this, using drones. 2 months ago, when Iran shot down one of our drones and the president didn't do anything, I said, oof, not good. And he made a market in the new drone world. He said, I'm not going to do anything about it because the general told me at the last second, which is a lie. Generals don't do that. When you brief the president on a potential strike, you know what the first slide says? The first slide says, here is our CDE, collateral damage estimate. How do I know? I gave a brief to the National Security Advisor, Sandy Berger, when he was Bill Clinton's National Security Advisor, folks. So the president knew that people would potentially die. They weren't going to be kids and moms. It wasn't going to be a school we were going to hit, but I digress. My point being, folks, is that this attack by Iran completely changes the world and drones. Do you think we need another 9/11 with dudes in an airliner wasting money on getting trained in a simulator and buying one-way tickets? Nope. How about we just get some big drones and fly them into buildings going forward? My job is not to scare you right now. My job is to look at potential threats to trading solo Amazon, and this is one of them. What did Jeff Bezos say like 4 months ago? We will be delivering packages by drone within months. He didn't say a year, 2 years, 3 years. He said months. This drone attack changes the dynamic. I don't think the FAA wants drones flying around this country as much as they did before this attack. Does that make sense? I have to point out potential threats. That's one of them. But let's get back to my Gordon Gekko, why I love it. The Wall Street Journal this week came out with a huge expose. Amazon changed algorithms in ways that boosted its own products. Do you love that or do you hate that? If you're a competitor to Amazon, you absolutely hate that and think that's un-American. If you're in our solo Amazon service, you kind of do your Gordon Gekko smile and go, yeah, that's awesome. Good job, Amazon. Now, those are some potential threats. Those are some potential goods. Like I said, Amazon's in everything. Let's take a look at the stock here. What I'm going to do in this service, and I want to keep us on timeline here to an hour. There's two tactics that I want to cover today. One is going to be I don't want to give away the answer right now, is going to be a medium-term trade. What do I mean by that? Well, if we take a look at our options chain here, if I hop in my Joint Strike Fighter, I can fly. Oh, look at this. The new series is out. So when you become a member next Monday, we do our live solo Amazon brief every Monday at 3. I'm going to show you how to do a bullish long-term strategic position all the way out to Jan of 2022. Here's my prediction. By Jan of 2022, Amazon is a $4,000 stock minimum. Obviously, let me put an asterisk next to this. We get into a war in the Gulf or Iran, nukes, whatever. India and Pakistan nuke each other. Bad things happen. That's the asterisk. Net thing. But folks, whether it was 9/11, the tech implosion, the financial crisis, the crash of 87, even though awful things happen, we net end up getting back on our horse and getting airborne. Okay, so I'm going to save that for next Monday. When you become a member today, I'm going to give you a special discount to do this afternoon. We'll do this next Monday. What I want to do right now is cover maybe potentially a shorter term trade based on what? Seasonality. Guess what's going to happen around here? What happens every year? And what happens almost every year with Amazon? Right around here, ladies and gentlemen, we're treated on TV to people going to Walmart or Target and beating the hell out of each other on a Friday for a flat screen TV or a Tickle Me Elmo. Man, that really dates me. Tickle Me Elmo, right? And then people like me sit at home and go, wow, those people are stupid. Why? Because that Monday we have now what we call Cyber Monday. And then what happens for the rest of December and this and that? Man, this is a potential great seasonal trade for Amazon, right? Amazon and a lot of the retailers tend to go up in the fall all the way into January. This is what happens, man. I've been doing this for 27 years, over a quarter of a century. October, November, December, great. And then first week in January, here's where Amazon comes out with the, oh my God, we destroyed Christmas. It was the best thing that ever happened, and we printed money, and then it sells off. I need to put this into an Excel sheet. I'm going to tell you anecdotally, 90% of the time, this is what happens, right? And what starts happening around here now, where we're hanging out? Oh, it's going to be an awful Christmas. Oh, geez. This actually, to be honest with you, right now, this is the first year in a while I haven't heard those dire predictions, right? Like, oh, man, not looking good. Amazon and these folks tend to do what? Under promise and over deliver, right? If you can't hit the ball over the net, what do? You lower the net. So a lot of these folks tend to do what? Say, oh, things are going to be awful. And then when they print money around the holidays, they go, oh, wow, look at us, pleasantly surprised. But I got to be honest with you, and we'll talk about this in our other live trade briefs about what the Fed said today. What did Jerome Powell say? Here's your cliff notes. Things are fantastic. You know what that press conference reminded me of today? It was Jim Comey as the Fed chief. James Comey, for 19 minutes, told us why Hillary Clinton committed multiple felonies and should be arrested, and then spent 2 minutes telling us why he wasn't going to do that. Jerome Powell today spent 19 minutes saying the economy is great, jobs are good, we're raising our GDP forecast, things are fantastic, and spent 2 minutes saying he's going to cut interest rates right now. Okay, so keep that in mind. And the market reaction this afternoon from the Fed meeting is incorrect. And we can talk about that some other time. But what I'm getting at right now is maybe, because I want to try and get to 2 trades today during our time together, why don't we look at maybe a seasonal trade? Here's what's cool about trading options. We can hop in our F-35 Joint Strike Fighter with only 2 panels and go all the way out to Jan 20 and get bullish. Now, let's also always keep in mind right now, in the back of our cockpit is XLY. I do the same thing in XL. Let's just compare these 2 charts. XLY is on the screen. Let's compare it to Amazon. Look at that. Similar performance, but actually look at this, folks. The XLY has been outperforming Amazon. So our XLY, what do we have on right now? We have an XLY. XLY, oh, look at this. Our XLY bull put spread, for the members that are in here, look at this one. This one's going to expire Friday for $3,000 in profit. Look at this. There's an 82% probability we make $3,000. We put this trade on, what was it, Monday? I think this one was Monday, wasn't it? Or last week. Look at that. It's up $2,430, 84% return right there. And then we have a bear call spread on Amazon out to Friday. This one's out to Friday, folks. And what did close at? Wow, this one, you know what? This is, let me stick with XLY, and then this will be our short-term tactical trade. I got filled on this trade yesterday at 50 cents, or I'm sorry, Monday. Monday was our solo Amazon, and it's at 50 cents right now. We're going to, let me cover XLY, and then I'm going to maybe give you a potential weekly trade. But let's take a look at this. Both of these have seasonality. Both of these will rise. Well, let me answer my own question. Why is XLY outperforming Amazon right now? I kind of gave you the answer a couple minutes ago. The retailers are printing money. Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, Tiffany's. Tiffany's last earnings, all the Democrats running for president, a recession, the economy's slowing, things are awful. What? Did you see the housing numbers today? The economy, I use this analogy, ladies and gentlemen. When I was sitting on the catapult of the USS Kitty Hawk in my F-18, I go to full power, I make sure everything's good, and I'd salute the catapult officer saying I'm ready to go. He or she would touch the deck with their fingers as the signal to fire. I would go from 0 to 150 miles an hour in 2 seconds. Guess what? The whole time I'm going down the catapult stroke, I'm accelerating. You know what happens when I get to the end? I actually get thrown forward in my straps a little bit because I stop accelerating that fast. But I climb out and I'm still accelerating, but not as fast. That's the economy. I had a buddy of mine call me from a massive Wall Street firm. He's like, dude, I got to use that. I gave him a video of me. He's like, that's exactly what's going on with the economy. We were on a catapult shot off the Kitty Hawk, and oh, God forbid that we're not, the catapult isn't a mile long, folks. It gets you airborne, and now you can climb out at cruise speed. So that's what's going on. So I would look at maybe hopping in our jet and flying out to, let's just call it Jan of 2020. You could do December, but the reason I'm doing January is because right around December-ish, because remember, if we did December expiration, when you see DC19, what is that? That's the third Friday in December. 1, 2, 3. That's December 20th. When's Santa Claus come? Unless you're getting cold. Well, he does come if you're getting cold too, the 25th. And we have other holidays. We have Hanukkah, we got Kwanzaa, we got winter solstice, man. Celebrate whatever you want. My point being is I don't want to do the December expiration because those calls would expire before Xmas, right? What usually happens after Christmas? Well, subtle hint, my birthday is December 31st. My birthday is December 31st, but what I'm saying is the first week-ish in January or second week is when all the retailers come out and go, oh man, we destroyed it. What an epic Christmas. So that's why if you're sitting, and I see chats flying by there, I answered that. Why am I picking the January expiration? Now, if you kind of know a little bit about options, calls are on the left and puts are on the right, right? Buying puts, bearish. Buying calls, bullish. There you go. There's options 101 in a nutshell. If you joined us today because you just wanted to know what is going on, I just taught you a little bit about options. So what we could do, and if on my E-Trade platform here, this kind of light background here, these strikes, these are called what? These are in the money, ITM, right? Those are in the money calls, and this kind of dark area down here is OTM, out of the money calls, okay? So I tend, if I'm going to just buy some calls and put them in my safe deposit box, I tend to want to buy calls that are at least a 0.8 delta or closest to a 0.8 delta. Why? Because they have some meat on the bones. They have two characteristics to them, intrinsic and extrinsic value. I'm not going to sit here and give you an options lecture so your eyes glaze over and you fall out of your chair. Just know that if I'm buying these 109 calls on XLY out to January, guess what happens? I got a boatload of time in them, and if the thing's at 122 right now and I buy the 109s, I already got some moneyness to them. There's meat on these bones, okay? So I tend to like buying calls that already have some thrust behind them. They're already kind of going down the catapult. But look at the price of these things. They're not cheap, right? If I wanted to buy, let's just say buy 5 of the Jan 20 109 calls, that's about $7,200. That ain't cheap, in my opinion, okay? I like these. I wouldn't do that many, obviously, I'd probably do 2 or 3, right? 2 of them would be about $2,900. Unlimited upside in these things. But you know what? Wiz, those are pretty expensive, man. Take a look at let's go to the chart here, Wiz. Okay, I agree. Let's take a look at a 1-year chart of XLY. The highest we've seen in a long time is like 124. Let's take a look at a 2-year chart. Yeah, we're pretty, 124 is kind of the highest. But folks, if your strategic mindset, like mine, is that, let me warn you real quick, another potential threat here. What happens in October? Well, about 80 to 90% of the time in October, the market is extremely volatile. October is one of the most volatile months of the year, right? So you might not want to do this tactic today of buying some calls in October. We might be in for a little bit of a ride. Yeah, exactly. And some fun balancing. We might be in for a little bit of a ride in October. Let me go back to this real quick. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, was the last Fed meeting. During this rise in the market, what did I tell my users? I said, folks, Jerome Powell is going to underwhelm and disappoint the markets. Boom. What did I tell my users during this? Jerome Powell is going to underwhelm and disappoint the markets. Well, Wiz, we recovered off the bottoms. That was algorithmic trading, ladies and gentlemen. You ready for this? 5 of the members said we should have raised interest rates. 5 members said we should have done nothing. So out of 17 people, folks, 10 of them said, what are you doing? And the guy more or less signaled, we ain't doing anything the rest of the year. So keep this tactic in mind, and once you join, I'm going to tell you when I think we should do this, but let's just still go through the academics of it. Wiz, those 109s are a little pricey. I get that they got some, they come prepackaged with some meat. Maybe we do, what was the highest we've been at? 125. If you think by January, people are going to be breaking out their wallets or the pocketbooks for the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, maybe you buy some out of the money calls, man. Maybe you buy these 125s. Look at this. Buying 10 of these is only $2,700, right? 5 of them is $1,400. I call these a little bit of a lottery ticket, folks. Why? Because technically, we got to go up. But if you don't think the XLY is going to go up to $1.50 or $2 between now and January expiration, then you're pretty bearish. Of course, again, no, barring world implosion, these calls will make some money. I've been doing this for 27 years. Every fall I'm not going to say every. There's been bad years. There's been stuff going on around the world, the Greek debt crisis, whatever. There have been falls where it hasn't been so nice, but I'm going to tell you that's about 10% of the time. Can that happen this time? Sure. Will it? No. So one of the tactics we could do is buy some XLY calls out to January, put them in our safe deposit box, and forget about them. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach you in the service that if we do buy these 5 calls, I'm going to bring in, that's like owning an apartment, right? Wiz, I'm kind of short-term neutral to bearish on what's going on. I think Jerome is going to let us down. China trade war, and God forbid Saudi Arabia retaliates against Iran. I think we're going down. Well, I'm going to teach you that, look at this, maybe we could do what's called sell a front month upside call. Hey, man, the Chinese guy just landed in Washington today to have some talks, and I just think we're going to go sideways. Maybe we go out a couple weeks and sell. What's that, 124? Maybe we go out. If we bought 5 calls out to January, maybe we go out a couple weeks and sell, maybe sell 5, the same amount of contracts, 5 of these upside calls, and I could bring in $535. I'm going to show you how to essentially bring in rent. Buying those calls out to January is buying a house or an apartment. We're going to rent it out occasionally by selling some upside calls. What are we also going to do? We're going to trade spreads. I'm going to keep those calls in that safe deposit box, maybe sell some upside calls, but I'm also going to trade some bearish and bullish spreads. Perfect example, we have this XLY bear call spread on that expires on Friday. Look at that, perfect. I sold the 124 calls and I bought the 125s. Look at that. There's an 82% probability that we're going to make that $3,000, right? That's a great looking trade. So I don't want to go too long. The Amazon trade I'm going to show you is actually one that we put on Monday. It's up, essentially $600. So here's your free trade. This expires Friday, folks, and I'm already talking. My phone's been smoking, and I got a bunch of calls to make tonight about what Jerome said here. It wasn't bullish, folks. 90% of the time, man, the initial reaction out of the market that afternoon is wrong. What happens right now? There's a lot of ladies and dudes in London, New York, and Chicago throwing back a pint, a shot, and maybe an amber lager in Chicago, talking about what the guy actually meant and what he said. Based on the dot plots and everything going forward, we're more or less, we'll be lucky to get a cut next year. Now, I'm a guy that the market should stand by itself, period. I'm beside myself that George Bush let Paulson push him into getting involved in saving capitalism in the financial crisis. This whole everybody gets a trophy thing will be the end of America. Companies need to be able to fail, right? Things have to go to zero, folks. If we have kind of this invisible Fed put or safety net under the market, the day the big one comes, ain't nothing. That's going to be I call it the Fred Sanford, right? Grabbing your chest, and every episode of Sanford and Son, that guy would have a heart attack, right? This is a big one. I'm not kidding this time. I'm coming, Elizabeth. We are going to have one of those, and the Fed won't be able to do anything about it. But here's your free trade. I do not think by Friday Amazon's above 1840. Oh, let me put Amazon in the background here. AMZN. After hours are up about $1. We are just hovering here. Let me bring up the chart of Amazon. Right? 1840 is just underneath the 50-day moving average. This red line is a 50-day moving average. It just does not seem to have the oomph to get up here. And if we were going to have a market rally based on what the Fed said, it would have been today, man. I absolutely think we're going to be let down. And between now and Friday, when the Secretary of State is on foreign soil and says this is an act of war, Middle East on brink as Pompeo condemns defiant Iran over bombing of kingdom's oil fields. If you're the king, what's his name? King Abdullah. If you're King Abdullah sitting there and you got the U.S. Secretary of State on your soil going, dude, man, that was an act of war. What do you think the Saudi, I saw a lot, Al Jazeera, I follow a lot of reporting. I talked to a lot of my buddies who are still in the military, and they're giving me some tipper. They're calling this their Pearl Harbor. Not a ton of people died. That's not the point, man. A sovereign nation launched 20 drones, and not just drones, folks. It was a cruise missile attack. Now, we talked in our other brief today about Raytheon and one of our other positions. All of their air defense systems were pointing towards where? Yemen, south. They weren't pointing at Iran. So what am I getting at, folks? Between now and Friday, I ain't bullish. And this potential trade on Amazon could make you $1,800 in a couple days. Absolutely think this is a great trade. Let me show you. Let's go to here we are. So so this is the member page. You're gonna be able to. I'm with you, folks. I'll give you the link and tell you how to sign up in a second. This was Monday. Look, September 16th, right? We did every Monday at 3 o'clock. We do our solo Amazon brief. What did we do Monday? I sent out an alert, and I told us in the brief close we had two spreads on, XLY and Amazon. Bearish spreads that we put on the previous Monday. $4,400 in profit in 1 week. So here's what the member page looks like. We do the brief every Monday at 3 o'clock. I send out a text and an email if you can attend, or even if you are there, you obviously get it. And then when we're done, I don't know, it takes about 20 minutes. Look at the bottom of the member page. There is the replay. Click there to watch the replay. About 80% of our members work Monday at 3 o'clock, Wiz. You got it. So that's why we send out a text and an email. And guess what? After the kids go to bed or later in the week when you have some time, watch the replay. But on Monday, we closed I didn't, because I'm still sitting here in this XLY. I tried to close that XLY for $2,200 gain, and now it's up to $2,400. So for all my members who are in here, I still didn't get out of this one yet, and it's still fine. It's made $200 more than when I wanted to get out of it. So there you go. Men lie, numbers don't. Bear call spread on XLY, bear call spread on Amazon, closed it for $4,400 in 1 week. And then this is the one that we did on Monday right there, the 1842.5. So Monday, folks, I got filled right around 55 cents, right? It's at 50 cents right now. I still think it's a great trade. It's hovering. It's still hanging out here. So yeah, there's your bonus trade. I just was going to cover seasonality call buying with Amazon and XLY. I did the XLY, and this is your free trade out to Friday. This free trade out to Friday, folks, could potentially make you $1,700 in 2 days. That pays for 2 years of this service, folks. 2 years. Somebody just wrote, Amazon is too expensive a stock for me to play as a novice. You clearly showed up late because I told you we trade XLY as a good proxy for Amazon. We're going to trade both names. And it says the guy left. So he asked that question and then he left. That's why you need to show up on time to things. We covered this, folks. Amazon is an expensive stock. Look at me. I got one contract. Look at this. I have a one synthetic stock contract. That's about all I could afford in this portfolio. But you're missing the point of this brief if you don't understand what the word solo means. Amazon might be the only position you want to own. If this one contract out to when this expires in January of 2021, if this one contract cost me 13 grand, that's all I'm trading if I have a 13 grand portfolio or 15 or whatever. Understand what we're talking about here, folks. Amazon is a FedEx, it's a healthcare, it's a financial, it's it's in everything, folks. Can it go out of business? Sure. That means that every vertical in Amazon went out of business. It's physically impossible. A couple years ago, AWS, Amazon Web Services, wasn't even seen as a profit center. It did $58 billion in North America in the last results. It's a huge, who was it? Google. Google's last earnings, they said what? Some company who shall remain nameless is eating into our advertising profit. Amazon. You want to talk about Amazon ads, folks? This damn, whenever I come in my house, I go unplug it. The damn Amazon thing that's listening to, well, my daughter's here, so she probably plugged it back in. All right, yeah, you bet. Guys, I want to keep us on timeline because I respect people's time, and we keep our briefs, brief. It's called a brief. It ain't called a long. So, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for me to call fights on. What do I mean by that? Fights on is what I would call over the radio when I was airborne to say, that's it, man. Fights on. It's time to get airborne and do some good work. So what I want to do right now, ladies and gentlemen, is introduce you to how you can get on board Solo Amazon. It's our newest live trade brief. Ladies and gentlemen, Top Gun Options has been in business 10 years. Why? Because we have a stellar reputation. But you guys asked for this, right? And I also thought about it when I did a lot of my private coaching, looking at people's portfolios. Like, what are you doing with 15 positions, man? Well, that's a weed stock, I think my buddy told me about. I think that's a biotech. I don't even know what I'm doing. Stop talking. Simplify. Get out of those things and streamline your life, ladies and gentlemen. It's every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern. All of our other briefs, the accelerated retirement or primary brief, they're $167 a month, right? Because I cover a lot of different names. Guess what we're going to do for you guys? Solo Amazon, ladies and gentlemen, is $97 a month. That's it. When I get done this brief, I'm going to drive down to Fort Lauderdale. I'm meeting with some buddies to actually talk about what happened with the Fed meeting. And I guarantee you the round of drinks that I buy them is going to be more than $97, folks. This is an absolute steal. Here's what I need you to do. You need to head to go.topgunoptions.com/solo, right? That's pretty easy to remember. Go, yeah, you bet. I'll put the link right here in the chat box, ladies and gentlemen. Give me 1 second. Go.topgunoptions.com/solo. If that's your last $97, folks, do not do this. And that is a drop in the bucket for the potential returns. I just showed you 2 trades that we closed or tried to close. I'm still in one of them for $4,400 in profit on limited risk, folks. Right? And I'll show you that in a little bit if needed. So go.topgunoptions.com/solo. Okay. Wiz, can't attend, man. Mondays at 3, I work for a living. Well, God bless America. If you can't attend, guess what? I send out text alerts as soon as I see a trade. It could be Monday, it could be Thursday, it could be Friday morning. I send out a text alert, folks, so you don't have to necessarily be in the briefs. And those text alerts, folks, I time them. They fire in 1 second. We limit this brief, the solo option service, to 200 people because I want to be in go-to training. Right now, we're in GoToWebinar, 475 people in here. It's too many. We limit it to 200, and we're in go-to training, so you guys can chat back and forth. You can see each other's chat, and I don't have to sit here and put my glasses on and look at all these questions, folks. So we'll send out time-sensitive text alerts, right? What do we also send out? What fires simultaneously is an email that has what? Look at this. This is a screenshot from my Gmail account. What is at the top of this email? All I did was copy and pasted the text to the top of the email. And then what do you also get in the email? You get a screenshot of the trade. Selling this, buying this. This is the credit that we're looking at. Then what else do you get in this email? you get the metrics. What is the max risk in this trade? What is the max potential profit? What are the probabilities? Boom, boom, boom. You get everything. So you get a text alert, you get an email alert, and by the way, yeah, exactly, to pay for his divorce, you get access to the replay. It takes about 30 minutes for me to render the brief, right? After I press stop on this one, this is being recorded. I know a bunch of people have asked if this is recorded. It is, and I'll send you the replay. But it takes about 30 minutes to render it, post it, and put it on the website. So you get access to the replay. Now, I'm going to make you a special offer. If you can't see that $97 is a steal for the service, I can't help you. You're probably not the best trader. Here's to sweeten it up. You ready? I'm going to give you 3 of our proprietary manuals, our primary, intermediate, and advanced workbooks. These are your flight manuals, folks. If you're new to options, or even if you're good at options, get in these. Get smarter. Download these, read them, take the quizzes. If you went to my homepage right now, these are $197. If you bought all 3 of these, if you bought these on our homepage, it's $197. So let me get this straight, Wiz. It's $97 for a month, but I'm getting $197 worth of manuals. Yeah. If you're a political science major like me, you could at least figure out that technically you're making $100. You bet, Steve. So we'll talk about that. It's $97 a month. You do it for 2 months, you don't like it, you send us an email that says, I'm good, man, and you don't get billed ever again. Just give us a heads up. But it's $97 a month. But I'm going to hook you up with a steep discount here in a second, okay? So here's what you get. You get access to our weekly solo Amazon, parentheses, XLY trade brief. We're going to trade both. The dude that asked that question, like, well, Amazon's too expensive, and left, I'm glad he left because he wouldn't get along here. That's just not smart. Real-time text and email alerts. You get access to our online forum. It's called the Ready Room. The Ready Room of a fighter squadron is kind of like the living room. That's where you hung out before your flight, after your flight. You had a beer after flight operations ended for the day. I learned more about flying and fighting the F-18 in the Ready Room than I did from any manual or video. So you're going to get access to that forum. And for today only, folks, you're going to get those 3 manuals. They're $197. You get them for a month, $97 technically. You're making $100. Let me tell you about current members here. Dwight, Mr. Dwight, David, he's like the guy from The Office. Got out yesterday as well for 72% profit. My Jan 21 is up 40. He's long a Jan 21 Amazon position that was up $40,000 in 2 days. How many? Let me show of hands. How many you would mind make 40 grand in 2 days? Scotty, Amazon up 11 grand on how many contracts, folks? 1. That's what I'm saying. The dude who left, it's too expensive. Maybe you just can afford 1 contract. You didn't attend the brief, folks, if you don't get the concept of stop flying the F-4 Phantom and start getting in the JSF. 1 contract, 11 grand. You're welcome, Scotty. And he's actually doing better than that since the last time I talked to him. Kevin, Amazon synthetic stock. I was late to enter. He's up 200%. He paid 8 grand to get into his synthetic stock. Look at that. 24 grand. Trading in one name, folks. Dennis, 72.40, closing out your volatility in Amazon trades today. Thanks, Wiz. Tom, I have an October this year up 10 grand. David, different David, did Amazon TGO synthetic stock 2 months ago, up $42,000. Absolutely fantastic. Loves this stuff. Greg, Amazon update. He had a 2019 on that was up $92,000. He also had a 2020 on that was up 21 grand, all because of hooking up with UWiz and TGO. Here's a different report from Greg. My 1 contract, 1 Amazon long call diagonal from July is up $28,000 right now in 6 months and a week. Hell yeah, Wiz, TGO is the bomb. My Jan 21 of this year was a little late as I bought it on March 8th as a 1290, up over 19 grand. $19,000, folks. Finally, Greg, his final update, my core position, a 2020 and 21 are up 49,505, and the value of the positions is $144,000. I don't need much more. Greg was one of our dudes that actually was like, man, I'm going to simplify and just start trading in this name. I'm like, you know what, man? Let's do that. Let's launch a service that focuses on solo Amazon. New live trade brief every Monday at 3 p.m. We're trading Amazon. We're covering XLY. We have 22 slots, folks. 22 slots. We are not taking more than a total of 200. We have about 170-ish members in there right now. We will never take more than 200 because the room doesn't hold it. It's $97 a month. But, folks, you ready? Not only are you going to get those manuals today, I'm going to give you a 25% discount if you sign up today for an annual. This is a no-brainer, folks. I just showed you 2 trades that made $4,400 in a week. $4,400, that's 4 years of your solo Amazon service, right? And I had a lot of month-to-month people lately email me and say, hey, Wiz, I want to upgrade to the annual, man. I'm going to take the profits from my recent Amazon trades and get into an annual, right? So go.topgunoptions.com/solo. Go.topgunoptions.com/solo. Here's your bonus for today only, folks. You get $100 essentially in your pocket. It's staying right there in your pocket. These are $197. If you do a monthly membership for $97, you got these manuals, man. This is a no-brainer, folks. We're only going to do this today, man. These manuals are worth their weight in gold. I love these things. I reread them sometimes, man. Or I got a question like, oh man, what's that again with? Oh geez. Let me go back to the Bible here, folks. Okay? So, solo Amazon. Solo Amazon, folks, is our newest service. And I got to say, man, how many of you made $4,400 last week on limited risk? We did. There's your annual subscription. Frank, welcome aboard. Looking forward to having you. Solo Amazon, all the other briefs individually are $167. This one's $97 a month, folks. Clean up your trading cockpit. Trade Amazon and trade XLY and stop trying to be a genius in all these positions. Stop being you. Stop listening to the lie that Wall Street's been telling you since your day one of investing. You have to diversify. Why? Because they want your fees. They charge you, folks. Simplify. How many of you would want a more simple life? Making potentially 6. Folks, if you do a synthetic stock on XLY or Amazon out to, what was that, Jan of 2022, if it's a $3,000 or $4,000 stock, you're up over $100,000 with one contract, folks. Please do me a favor and get on board. Try $97 a month, folks. Try it for a month and see if you like it. If not, don't renew. Say, hey, man, I'm good. I'm not going to do it. So, as I said, today only, you're going to get these manuals right here. $197 of value right there. Those manuals. Today, I am offering a 25% discount, ladies and gentlemen, if you do an annual membership. It is right down there. Yep, you bet. The link is in the chat box. I'll post it again. It's easy to remember. Go.topgunoptions.com/solo. Okay? Yep, hang on, folks. Let me, I'll post that in the chat box. And let me see this. Yep. And man, I went over by 8 minutes. I am not happy about that. I like respecting people's time. Richard, shoot an email to Susie and she can hook you up. Not seeing any other problems. Everybody else is saying there's about 20 people so far that has said they're either joining or on board. So, okay, let me try and clean up some. Matthew, how time sensitive are the alerts to execute the trades? Matthew, guess what I do in my text alerts? Let me go back. I actually put out a range. So the trades that I put out are good for that day. So check this out. Wiz, I got the alert late. So let me show you one of the text alerts here. This is on a different name, but I'm gonna show you. All right, Chuck, welcome aboard. So Matthew, this is the text you're gonna get. Hey man, I'm buying these, I'm selling these at this credit, plus or minus a penny in this case. So I'm going to tell you how wide of a trade is acceptable to me. So if you're sitting in death by meeting at work and you get a text alert, you don't have to sit there and go, oh my God, I got to leave right now and place this trade. No, I give you a range. Hey man, I like this trade between these prices for today. Okay, so that's a great question, Matthew, and it shows you're an astute investor there. They're good for the day, and I'm going to give you a range that shows you that, hey man, I'm happy with getting filled on this trade in between that range. Does that make sense? All right. So what do you do if the synthetic position is upside down and really can't sell front month call in the position? You can, Roy, absolutely you can, and welcome aboard. Good for you. You can, Roy, and sometimes that happens. I got to be honest with you. One of my base positions in Amazon is underwater. Do I care? No. It's a Jan 21 position, folks. I got on board this particular position when Amazon was at 2010. If I didn't think Amazon was going to be past 2010 again anytime soon, I'd be out of the trade. So sometimes the trade can be underwater, folks, but guess what? We're still bringing in money and lowering our cost basis. So very good question, Roy, and welcome aboard. But hey, man, if we can make money no matter if the stock's going up, down, or sideways. Wow, look at all these questions and people saying they're on board. You bet. Mary, absolutely. Welcome, Glenn Diamond. I love that name. Sorry I said your last name, but if you were a naval aviator, your call sign would be Neil. Bob, absolutely, ma'am. Veronica, yes, ma'am. Can we try the month and upgrade later to the annual if we like it? Yes, ma'am. You just give us a call or shoot an email to support saying, I want to upgrade into the annual position. Welcome aboard, Josie. Steve, let me pull that up. Excuse me. So here's our performance year to date, and this is 2 months old here. XLY, so year to date, why am I saying this? Because this service came out about 3 months ago. So it says year to date, but guess what? It's only been about 3 months. In 3 months, we're up 14 grand. My XLY positions have done about 23 grand, and my Amazon out to the future is underwater because what? I did it at, what did I say? 2010 or whatever my cost basis is. But I got to be honest with you folks, that loss was even more when Donald Trump, imploded the market with the trade war. This loss was bigger, but I've been weaning this down, and I guarantee you by the time I'm out of this trade, you ready for this prediction? By the time that trade is getting ready to expire, I'm writing this down. It's going to be worth at least $100,000 or more. You can write that down, folks. By the time that trade expires, it will be a 6-digit profit. Easily, if not more. And I'm going to show you how to put your base. So when we get all these new people on board, I'm going to show you how to put on your base position. Okay. Kenneth signed up early while briefing. Too late for an annual? No, Kenneth, support at topgunoptions.com. So Kenneth, just shoot us an email and say, hey man, I joined with the monthly, but Wiz surprised me with the annual. Can I upgrade to an annual? Support at topgunoptions.com. So you bet, Kenneth, we'll absolutely upgrade you. I appreciate all the interest, guys. Can you hold a slot for me? I can't. I'm not going to say that. I can't. And the answer is no. I can't hold a slot for you. I'm a first come, first serve. If you're here for the brief, you like it, you get it. Once we hit 200, guys, we stop. Maybe in a couple months as people roll out or whatever, and there's a little bit of room, we can let you in. But I hate acting like the guy from Ronco or something like that, but that's exactly what it is. We're in GoToWebinar right now, and you guys can't see each other's chat, and it really is a pain for me to put my glasses on, my old man spectacles, and read chat. In GoToTraining, you can see each other's chat. You guys are talking back and forth, but we limit it to 200 people for this very reason. There's probably 620 questions in this chat box, and in our live trade briefs, nobody leaves that live trade brief with a question mark over their head going, oh man, I have no idea what's going on, or he didn't get to my question. I will sit there. Gen C, what's the minimum account you recommend for an account? I can't. I don't. I won't. That's what a registered investment advisor does, or a broker dealer. I can't recommend. most brokerages, I think E-Trade, you can open a brokerage account for $500, but I showed you a seasonal trade on XLY getting long through Christmas and the winter solstice. And it was about $1,300. So can't give you the minimum account size because I don't know your individual situation. That's what an RIA does, a registered investment advisor, right? That's not me punting. That's me actually being in accordance with the law. That's one of the reasons Top Gun Options has been around for 10 years. There ain't no gray, folks. It's black and white. Chris, do I ever trade XLY in the full throttle services? Rarely, because I want to keep XLY and Amazon for the folks that are paying for just that. Elliot, welcome aboard. Paul, nice try, Paul. Is there a different cost for existing Happy subscribers than the other programs? The answer is no. This is as cheap as it gets, man. The other services are $167. If you can't shell out 97, Paul, we got problems. So no, that's the price, man. There ain't no member discount. Folks, this is called Solo Amazon. This is its own standalone service. Somebody asked earlier about everything else that we do here at Top Gun Options. I'm not going to cloud everything else we do, but we do have what's called Full Throttle. We have 4 other live trade briefs you can get into. That ain't the time to talk about it. Focus on this right now. Solo Amazon. This is the get your foot in the door here at Top Gun Options. If you like what I do in Solo Amazon, folks, we've been trading the hell out of volatility and the China trade war. We've been trading the VIX and the volatility index, and we've been trading FXI like you read about it in FXI magazine. That's the iShares China ETF. I have a bear call spread expiring tomorrow that made $2,500 since Monday. So there's other services that we do here, folks, but this should be your entry point into Top Gun Options. Okay, Buck. To heck with trading, Wiz. Get in the Trump administration. We need your love of country and passion for right over wrong. Buck, I appreciate that, man. I'm very passionate about things, and hopefully that comes across. Greg, just added Solo Amazon to Full Throttle. I wasn't able to get right away. I was helping my sister take care of a health issue with my dad. Love seeing my testimonials on the breeze. Greg, God bless your sister, my friend. If there's anything we can do to help, let us know. But Greg's one of the he's one of the Mercury 7 astronauts here. He was one of the folks that's like, hey man, we should do I've just been focusing on this. I'm up 150 grand in my Amazon. I'm like, Glenn, Amazon free trade is the 1842 and a half for 50 cents. You bet, my brother. And Glenn, since you said you joined, you can go to the member page right now and see that trade, right? Log in, and underneath member content, go over here to Solo Amazon. Just click on that and you can see all our recent trades and everything like that. Oh, thank you, Tamara. Tamara's been here. Tamara joined us. She didn't know what an option was, and the woman is a Jedi master. She's a fantastic woman up there in the great white north of Wisconsin. Anyone interested, just do it. Best day of my life when I joined Top Gun Options. Thank you, Tamara. You certainly made my life a lot better, too. Made me a better person, so I appreciate it. Okay, a couple more questions. Then, like I said, I got to go to Fort Lauderdale and talk about Jerome Powell. Daniel, okay, I'm in. Welcome aboard. Sweet. Ross, question, do you ever trade SPY like Amazon? Ross, we do. First of all, I don't trade SPY. And Ross, even if you don't sign up, I'm going to save you money, my brother. You ready for this? Do not ever trade SPY again in your life. Whoa, man, that's pretty big. Elaine, welcome aboard. I'm in with the smiley face. Why, folks? The SPY is an ETF. Richard, I think that I'm in. Yeah, there's 20, 25, there 30 people in front of you who no problems on the order page. So maybe, Richard, it was operator error. Ladies and gentlemen, the SPY is an ETF. What does Uncle Wiz trade? SPX. Now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer here, folks. I shouldn't be talking about anything other than Amazon or XLY, but since you asked, man, SPX is the index. Now, here's my disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen. I am not your tax attorney. I'm not an accountant, and I'm certainly not going to play one on TV. But whoever just asked that question, there is potentially different tax treatment between trading an ETF and trading an index. And I'm going to leave that like a hanging chad down here in South Florida. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge, do me a favor and go Google that or talk to your broker. But whoever just asked that, was it Ross? Hopefully I just saved you a lot of money. Do not trade an ETF, ladies and gentlemen, if there's an index. Do not, Alesso, welcome aboard. I love that name. Is a great DJ. Do not trade the IWM. That's the iShares Russell ETF. Trade the RUT. Okay? I'm going to say it again. I ain't your tax accountant or your tax attorney, and I'm not playing one on this webinar, but Uncle Wiz, there's different. Scott, it was SPX. I did an SPX bear call spread last week on Thursday that made $1,700 in a day. I rarely, in 27 years, I can count on one hand the number of times I've traded SPY. But good question. Paul, just signed up and look forward to learning from you since you brought SPY. Can you recommend comment on the VIX? Absolutely get long VIX. Absolutely get long VIX right now. Neil, I just signed up, but I'm being asked to pay for other services. How do I get to the page? Which other services? You shouldn't be getting asked to pay for anything else, man. So Neil, if you're having any problems, just shoot us an email and support. They shouldn't be asking you to do anything else. Oh, it might be asking you to. I think after you buy the monthly, it might say, "Hey, do you want to, do?" Speaking of Amazon, I think it does the standard. Hey, people also bought like an annual membership. I don't know. That's all my marketing folks. I can't stand this. Can't stand doing these marketing webinars. To be honest with you, I want you in there so you can see it and you can trade. Okay. All right. Couple more. Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca, 25% discount if you do the annual membership. Okay. And Jessica, or I forget your name, ma'am, asked a little while ago. Of course you can upgrade. Do a month of solo Amazon for $97. Read the manuals. And a month from now, like, okay, man, I just made enough money this month to pay for I just showed you folks 2 trades, $4,400 with 2 trades on minimum risk. That would have been about 4 years of this solo service that I paid for in a week. And somebody just asked, I'm staying bearish, folks. We're gonna look at more bear call spreads on XLY and Amazon. I am just not I'm just not bullish on it at all. I'm short-term bearish, folks. I'm not. This ain't the end of the world. If anything, we might kind of come back and test this 50-day moving average on the S&P 500. The biggest things going on right now, guys, and make sure everybody who's listening to me, I was about to go into the China trade war and what's going to happen in potential real war with Saudi Arabia. You know where you need to get that information? Please, everybody. Every day I do a 10 to 15 minute video. I call it a sit rep, right? A situation report. That's military, sit rep. To everybody, please do me a favor, and this is free. It's no charge. I just do this all the time. Click here, folks, and please make sure you're getting the daily sit rep situation report. It's and I posted on YouTube. Yeah, so there's the link, guys. Get our sit rep every day in your inbox. This is a 10 to 15 minute video. It's free and it's fantastic content. Just ask me. No, I'm not kidding. I mean, I strongly recommend you watch the one that I did the other day about how the president is failing miserably with this situation. This one, look at this. It was 1,100 views right here, but these are the daily sit reps, 800, 900, 657. So please do me a favor and register for that sit rep so you can get it every day. Roy, I'll see you Monday, man. Download your manuals and I'll see you in the briefs. Steve, love your sit reps. Thanks, Steve. Larry, will you teach us instead of giving picks? Larry, God bless you for asking that question. Let me end on this, guys. You do not attend Top Gun forever. When I went to the Navy Fighter Weapons School, we call it going to the top of the mountain. I went to the top of the mountain and I got smart. SMRT. I got smart, man. The latest tactics, the latest weapons, what our enemies were doing. And guess what? I left. You don't go to Top Gun forever, folks. You get smart, then you go out to the fleet. You go back to your fleet squadron and say, hey, guys, sit down. I'm passing on the knowledge. So, Larry, I don't, and my marketing guy usually kicks open the door when I say this. He's actually having a drink right now somewhere else, but I don't want you here forever, Larry. That's an awful business model for me, but it's a great business model for me as a human. I want to teach you. I want you in 6 months to a year to email me and say, dude, I got this, man. I love what you taught me. Give me that Top Gun patch. I'm going back to the fleet. I want you to cancel eventually. Listen to me. So this isn't you're not going to sit on the dock, folks, with your mouth open and I'm going to shove fish down your throat. I'm going to teach you how to do this. This isn't an alert service that just blasts out stuff. I'm going to teach you how to fish, man. Does that make sense? Yannick, can you give me the link to sign up? Yannick, I love that name, Yannick. It is right here. Great brief. Honeydews, aloha. Kenneth, you're cleared off. Tamara, we stay here for the fun, rants, and friendships we develop. Let me say that again, ladies and gentlemen. Tamara's been here for 3 years. The woman could probably teach me how to trade options at this point. You know why she's here? She's best friends with some of the members. We've met at events. I met Tamara down here in Miami. Let me show you this. What she's talking about, the rants, ladies and gentlemen, is before any brief, before we do any trading, I do what? Here's what's going on in the world. And the rants lately have been the president of the United States is failing and he's going to get a lot of people killed if he doesn't act. So a lot of people, even though they know what they're doing, Tamara could probably start her own options trading service and I'd probably subscribe to that. But guess what? She's here for the strategic and the operational briefs and the camaraderie. Okay, so that's Tamara, and she's a great American. All right, that's it, man. I know there's more questions and stuff, but I think I've answered all these things. The link is in the chat box. It's easy to remember. Go.topgunoptions.com/solo. That's pretty damn easy to remember, folks. And yes, whoever just asked, it'll take me 30 minutes to get the replay together, and I'll send out an email with the replay. Or you can just go over to our YouTube page, and it'll be posted here in about 30, 45 minutes, okay? We good? Yeah, you bet. You're welcome. Even if you don't join, I thank you, Jency. Even if you don't join, it's hopefully you learned something. William, I joined and I used the link to the website. I can't get to the webpage. Please help. William, I'm not sure what your issue is. Let me give you a number here, 754-300-1084. So William, if you're having an issue, man, we are here to support you and we'll hook you up. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day, your night, your morning. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge and God bless. I will see all of you next Monday afternoon, this coming Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock for our solo Amazon service. In between, you got homework. Download the manuals, read them, and get on the solo Amazon member page and watch Monday's brief. Look at the replay. Watch the week before that's brief where we got $4,400. Watch the previous briefs to see what's going on. Do your homework. Do not show up to one of my briefs unprepared or you're doing 50 push-ups. Okay. All right, guys. Good night. God bless. And I'll talk to you guys later. Welcome aboard to all of our new solo Amazon members. We'll see you.